A fighter trains with the best and wins with a KO. Kelly Orchard's podcast for successful badassery. Fruitful Fridays with Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day and Weekend Vibes. Let's take a bite of some Apple a Day topics. Certifying badasses, one podcast at a time.
Yup, that's right. We are certifying badasses one podcast at a time. Did you know that Bobby Ocean is a certified badass? That's right. I made sure that he is. If you don't know who Bobby Ocean is and his masterful voice, he is a former boss radio jock from Los Angeles era when my dad was working there. So they work together. So he's an old family friend. I've shared with this in earlier podcasts that, after Los Angeles, he moved up to San Francisco and, legendary in both those major markets in radio. And when we had our family radio stations, we always used Bobby Ocean's voice. We took it along with us and used his voice for our promos and station IDs and all sorts of stuff. So when it came time to doing my podcast, I knew I needed an announcer to introduce me. I called upon Mr. Ocean, who's actually now retired, but he was kind enough and generous enough to lend me his voice once again. So I love it when he says my name or he creates all these different things for me. That adds to my podcast. And I love that because he's a badass and he helps me feel successfully badass myself. So, hey, everybody, Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier. It is Fruitful Friday. And I got to say, thank God for that. It's been quite a week. Monday, it began with interviewing a caregiver for my parents, which went successfully, thankfully. Tuesday was my dad's surgery. Just, it's a minor procedure, but they did have to put him under anesthesia. So there's always that kind of, nervousness when you have, that the aging and whatnot. My mom had a stress test for her heart. So this has been quite a week because meanwhile I'm juggling my psychotherapy clients and coaching clients and still trying to do my best to be present for them and not have my head in my game at home and trying to just maintain sleep as well. This has been my week, but I'm glad that it's Friday and next week's going to be a completely different ball game. Here's the thing though, although my self-awareness, all this stuff that's been going on, my self-awareness has revealed that I've been ignoring my physical health lately. Not that it's really bad. It's like I'm not overdoing it, but I haven't been exercising consistently for months. Well, why? Well, you may recall that my last trip to Sedona, I sprained my ankle in Lake Havasu before I ever got to Sedona. So my entire trip to Sedona 6 months ago, back in March, I was laid up. And, I didn't go see a doctor about the ankle. I'm kind of, I have a tough resolve and a strong constitution and a high tolerance for pain. So I never went to see the doctor. Although a friend of mine who is experienced in some of these types of injuries, and loaned me a boot to keep my leg still, told me that I probably tore some ligaments. And so it was a little bit more than just a sprained ankle and it took months to heal. And then after that, I had the move over here into Michelle's place, which anybody who's ever moved at all knows what that does. It's not only physically exhausting, but it's mentally exhausting. And then I've been dealing with, adjusting to being here. So that's my explanation. It's not an excuse. I could just tell you, it's like in order to not be burnt out, my schedule has changed. My perspective has changed. I'm having, I no longer have my podcast gear or my computer mainly at home. It's at Michelle's place. And so even when I have a creative burst, everything's different for me. And so I've realized that I've been neglecting my physical health a little bit. And so it's time for me to get back to that and adjust my attitude. Because, the A in badass is attitude is everything. You need a positive one if you want to succeed. And that does take its toll when you're overwhelmed with other duties that you have to do. So it's really important. Maybe you can't maintain this self-care routine consistently all the time. Wednesday I talked about, how do you cope when you can't maintain consistency? Well, you got to give yourself some grace. So right now I'm allowing myself to give myself some grace to switch my attitude because I'm going to Sedona next week. Yeah, with my friends. And I'm looking at it now as a reset for myself. Okay, so hopefully, fingers crossed, prayers up, put it out in the universe. I'm perfectly capable of hiking. It's like, I won't sprain my ankle. That's what I'm putting out in the universe, that my body will be able and capable of doing all of the things that I want to do. But I'm also going to look at as a spiritual, and emotional, and a mental reset. I have some detox that I purchased, some components to actually do a physical detox, for my liver and my organs and my blood and my stomach and my gut and what have you. And I'll get back to my early morning walks. One of the things is that, I walk early in the morning, and that's part of my self-care routine. However, I've noticed that because I've been doing the same routine and the same walking path in my neighborhood for several years, I'm actually bored with it. And that doesn't mean I don't like physical activity and or I want to be lazy. No, it just means that I want to seek out some new physical activity to do, which is, I talked last week about maybe taking up hiking. I'm not looking to be, like a mountain climber, but, hiking in some wilderness and forest is going to be a good change up for me. However, you know what I really want to do? I really want to have a badass dance class. Yeah, that's right. Not for the purpose of performing, but just for people who like to move their body and like music. And I'm not talking about one of these standard, classes that you take at a gym. And I'm not talking about the kind of dance class that you would be rehearsing for a performance. But I would just love to teach some basic dance steps and the basics of and fundamentals of movement. Sorry, it's like, whoa, where's my head at? I just want to teach some basics, but that's basically kind of where I'm at right now with my Fruitful Friday, as this self-awareness is so huge, and I've been aware myself, okay, I need to kind of get back into my early morning routine again of exercising, which I've kind of neglected for the last 6 months, not purposely. I mean, obviously with a sprained ankle that took, I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I still feel a twinge every now and then, and it's been 6 months. So yes, obviously it was a more significant injury than I anticipated. And, because I'm a badass, I didn't go see the doctor about it, and I didn't walk on crutches. And, I was telling my friend one time, she goes, how's that boot working out for you? And I'm like, well, it's fine to keep my leg, my ankles, in one place, but it hurts my hips when I walk around. Because it's off, and my walk is off. And she looks at me and she goes, you're supposed to stay off of it. You're not supposed to be walking at all. So, in the olden days when I was a young dancer, I would have just danced through the pain. But I'm not a young dancer, and my body doesn't heal like it used to heal. So it took a little bit longer, and now I'm noticing the effects of the sedentary lifestyle that I've been living the last 6 months. So how might you be thinking about something that you might want to improve upon? I know we're the last quarter of the year, October, November, December, and a lot of people start thinking about holidays and fall and gratitude, and that includes maybe holiday parties or baking or eating. Eating in the holidays is always a big thing. I'm not saying worry about your weight or get on some diet plan, but kind of be focused about the things that you do that might be a little self-sabotaging. All right? Just have that awareness and know that, a badass always knows when they need to have an attitude adjustment. And that's kind of what I had to focus on this week as I'm coming out of this tasks of taking care of some family business, which has been important and top priority for me. And now that's sort of settled matter. The parents have a caregiver. I think it's going to work out great. I feel like I have a little bit of peace now because somebody is going to be managing and paying attention to all of their medical needs when I'm not really able. And it's not my scope of practice. That's what we use that term in any kind of, licensed practice, whether you're a psychotherapist or a doctor or whatever. I'm not a doctor. I'm a psychotherapist. I can diagnose, mental health concerns, but when it's physical concerns, all I can do is trust what the doctors say, give them the medicine and the treatment that they're supposed to have. But it became overwhelming for me, and a lot of it. And so I'm very grateful that we have the caregiver in place. So, I made it. Thank God it's Friday. Woo! So how are you doing on this Fruitful Friday? I do have some apple a days for you, some fruitful apples for fruitfulness, because, on the Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day podcast, we're focusing on extraordinary life this month for the end of September and early part of October. So if you haven't caught Kelly Orchard's Apple a Day, it is daily, obviously, because it's called Apple a Day, and it's 60 seconds on wisdom, success, and personal growth. You know, I've been watching the stats grow on the Apple of Day, and so for those of you who are tuning in and listening to it, thank you. I hope it's helpful, and I hope that you share it with people. You know, they say that attitude is everything, and so when it comes to personal and professional growth, I remember many years ago when I began this journey that I found myself after serious illness. I realized that although my life was never bad, I didn't always have a good attitude. I didn't have a plan. I lived day by day just hoping to get through it as I raised a family all on my own. It was hard. I knew it was hard. People will often ask me, how do you do it? I'd often respond, well, I'm somewhat crazy, so that helps. Of course, I wasn't crazy in a mental illness sense. I just had a crazy life of nothing but obligations. I definitely wasn't living with an attitude of gratitude, mindfulness, and wisdom. When I became ill and nearly died, my attitude changed. I made drastic changes in life's journey and no longer just let things happen. I learned to make things happen. That one shift in my attitude has led me to this extraordinary new season of growth. Attitude can be everything to one who wants to live an extraordinarily badass life. Maybe it's time for you to consider an attitude adjustment. My late brother had set his intentions to live an extraordinary life, and although his life didn't turn out exactly as he thought it would, his passion for the extraordinary adventures he experienced through his work as a missionary turned out to be the most amazing. He wanted to experience fame, but that wasn't in the works for his life. How many of us begin our lives wanting to head in one direction, but end up going a different way than we had imagined? Author Robert White writes in his book, Living an Extraordinary Life, my invitation to you is to begin living every moment as though you are a miraculous and deserve to live an extraordinary life. Fake it if you must, and keep faking it until it's real to you. The gift you will be giving yourself is a lifelong journey of discovery, one that's infinite and infinitely rewarding. Begin the journey today. The moment is now, not a New Year's resolution in 3 months. Today is the day for your extraordinary life to begin. And I'm so happy that you decided to hop on the bus to Badassville with me because I love certifying badasses. I do it one podcast at a time, but I do have a badass certification class coming up. I know I've talked about it. I've teased it. I was going to do it in October, but I need a little bit more time here at Michelle's Place to kind of make the arrangements. There's just a lot going on here at Michelle's Place, so space is necessary. And also, there were a lot of things going on in October that the world is growing up, is waking up, and people are able to have events again. And so my class was sort of conflicting with some of the events that those people wanted to come to the class. So if you were one of those people, hey, hop on the bus, send Badass Jen at Licensed to Be Badass an email, and she'll get you hooked up for the class coming up in November, because I do love to certify badasses. You know, there are moments in lives that can only be described as truly extraordinary. The birth of a child, our first kiss, achieving a long-time goal, falling in love, the death of a loved one. We often believe that extraordinary moments must be epic in emotion or relevance. There are days when I stop to be mindful of my current surroundings, rather than spend energy thinking about what happened yesterday or taking stock of what might happen tomorrow. I have learned to appreciate the moment I find myself in. I know it may be possible to live like that on a daily basis, a moment-by-moment mindfulness. But when a moment appears that you wish you could take out of your smartphone and snap a picture would be one of those extraordinary moments. Snuggling up with your grandchild, or talking on the phone to your son, experiencing great customer service, or being blessed by somebody's gratitude when you've helped them out. Any moment can become extraordinary when you intentionally pay attention and live in that moment. Henry David Thoreau wrote, "You must live in the present. Launch yourself on every wave. Find your eternity in each moment." Alrighty. It's going to be a little bit short today because, it's Fruitful Friday and I have a lot to do catching up, right? But weekend vibes for you. So what do you got going on this weekend? Well, for me, okay, so Michelle's Place has their annual Survivor retreat, and I'm always honored, thrilled, and pleased to be one of the presenters for their Survivor retreat, and it's happening this Saturday. I think this is like the 8th or the 9th year that I have been the presenter for Michelle's Place, and I love it. Every single time I meet some awesome, amazing cancer survivors, and this is the first one they've been able to do in person for a couple of years, and it's the first one that they're actually doing right here at their new facility, which is beautiful, and I love it. So that's one of the things I got going on this weekend. I've also got my granddaughter's 8th birthday. That's right. My granddaughter Heidi turns 8 on Saturday, and she's having a birthday party. Now, what I have done traditionally with my grandchildren is I take them on a little shopping trip. So I'll be taking her shopping for her birthday on Sunday. Why on Sunday? Well, because of course we want to see what she gets for her birthday gifts on Saturday, so that I don't purchase something for her or she doesn't, or purchase something that she's already going to get for her birthday. So that is my weekend. Plus, I got to do a little bit of work for the next few podcasts because, I've got Krista Hogue for Mustang Monday coming up on Monday, and then I want to do the next Wednesday Wisdom and the Fruitful Friday because I am headed to Sedona on Thursday for a retreat of my own with some very close friends, and I'm really looking forward to that because the last time I went to Sedona, I'm not disappointed in my last trip. It just wasn't what I had intended to do. My intention was to go and hike the different trails and do a little bit more exploring in the wilderness. But you can't really do that when you have a sprained ankle. And then, the alternative was, I could just drive around and look and see all the other sites. But no, I'm drive a stick shift, and it was my left ankle. So that was impossible. So this time I'm looking forward to going back and not having a sprained ankle. But this is also the first time I'm going with girlfriends, not alone or just with, my family. So it's going to be a completely different experience. And we're going to have our own little retreat. We're going to dance party, of course, because I'm working on the Sedona Badass soundtrack, and we're going to do some treatments and just kind of immerse ourselves into Sedona and just enjoy each other's company, as we all are professionals, business owners, and need that time to regenerate, to reset, to retreat, to recover, to regroup. And I want to encourage you to do the same as you head into this final weekend of September. Yeah, my birthday is Wednesday. It's always been September 29th. That's my birthday. And so I'm not working. So that's why I'm going to work this weekend to kind of get the podcasts up and running. I can tease you about my birthday, but I really won't be here. And then Thursday, I leave early morning for the road trip to head out to Sedona. So next week I will be sharing with you that I'm in Sedona, but I won't have any details for you until probably the following Wednesday in October. So that is me on this Fruitful Friday. I really want to encourage you to turn up the music and have some fun. All right, just do that. And details on that coming up. I got Krista Hogue in the Mustang on Monday. What do you want to know what her tip is? Well, you're just going to have to listen in. Right, Mr. Ocean? Have a great weekend, everybody.
You've heard about the bus to Badassville. What happens when you find yourself aboard? Just what you'd hoped for. You will be given proven skills and drills that you use to flip your fears with powerful thinking ideas and take charge of a thoroughly badass attitude. The bus to Badassville is scheduled to come here for you. Pack your stuff. Remember, you have a free badass ebook coming when you drop in on licensed to be badass.com.